Like we are working live stream on YouTube, so that's good. Everybody can see my screen.
Beautifully.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Women in Security, Emerging Challenges and Trends series. This is series 1, panel 1 of 3. My name is Todd Price. I'm the current CEO, I guess, and founder of the Global Counterterrorism Institute, our nonpartisan institute. We developed curriculum in various topics under international security studies. And one of the programs we were beginning was the Women in Securities program with a theme, an overarching theme of emerging challenges and trends. So with that, development took a little bit of time, and we started out, I guess, with different diploma programs and a master's, and developed a master's program, which we are teaching now with Paris Graduate School. Within the time frame of about 3 years, we've finished development and started other programs like our news desk with our news team. And then recently, this last year, we started a series with Women in Security, and it just worked. And we also saw the need to have more, well, with the underrepresentation of women and the issue of women in security that's become a major concern in international security over the past decades, women's role in security has significantly evolved, with an increasing number of women taking up roles in security institutions and organizations. However, despite this progress, women remains underrepresented in the security sector, particularly in leadership positions. So what we're doing is exploring the emerging challenges and trends in international security as they relate to women in security. So starting out with this first panel, Women's Representation and Leadership in International Security Studies, we saw the need. And unfortunately, this field has been dominated by men for far too long. But that is all set to change with the launch of the Women in Securities Security Enhancement and Educational Defense Seminars, or SEADS 2023. So SEADS 2023 is a program designed to provide women with the tools and resources they need to succeed in the security industry. This program was developed by myself and Ms. Amber Aquindo, who is your moderator today. The program, as I said, is designed to provide women with the tools and resources they need to succeed in the security industry. It is a response to the ongoing need for more diversity in the field of security, as well as the recognition that women have unique skills and perspectives that can significantly benefit the industry. The program is open to women of all ages and backgrounds and is designed to be accessible and flexible. It will provide training in various security-related topics, from physical security to cybersecurity. And currently, we do offer a master's in international security as well as a master's in cybersecurity and PhD by research, depending on the topic. So one of the most exciting things about SEADS 2023 is that it will provide a platform for women to network with other women in the industry. This is important because women have traditionally been underrepresented in the security sector. And it can be challenging to find support for mentorship. So SEADS 2023 will help create a community of women who can support and learn from each other and help break down the barriers that have prevented women from succeeding in the field. So the benefits of a more diverse security industry are clear. When women are given the opportunity to contribute to security, they bring a unique perspective that can help to identify and mitigate risks that might otherwise be overlooked. They also bring different skills and experiences that can help create more effective security solutions. SEADS 2023 is a step in the right direction, but it's just the beginning. We need more programs like this that are designed to encourage diversity and inclusivity in the security industry. We know to recognize that the security industry is not just about physical strength or technical know-how, it's about problem solving, critical thinking, and collaboration. Women have these skills in spades, and it is time to recognize them and value them. So global security is a broad concept that covers various elements related to maintaining safety and stability on a global scale. And some of the key elements of global security are military, political, economic, environmental, and cybersecurity. Military meaning this includes the protection of our nation's borders, defense against external threats, and maintaining military readiness. Political security refers to the stability of political systems and the protection of political institutions against internal and external threats, including terrorism, insurgency, and political unrest. Economic security refers to the stability and sustainability of global economic systems, including the protection of critical infrastructure, resources, and trade routes. This also involves environmental security. It encompasses the protection of natural environment, including the preservation of ecosystems, the mitigation of climate change, and the prevention of environmental disasters. Cybersecurity includes protecting computer systems and network from unauthorized access or attack. Human security, which is almost always forgotten about, refers to the protection of individuals from threats such as poverty, disease, and violence, as well as the protection of human rights and dignity. Now, overall, global security is a multidimensional concept encompassing a range of elements, such essential for maintaining security and stability on a global scale. Enhancement can have different meanings depending on its context. So it's essential to understand the specific domain or where this term is used. In general, enhancement refers to the act of improving or making something better. It can refer to different elements or aspects that are being enhanced in different contexts. Here are a few examples. Physical environment, it can refer to improvements in physical appearance or abilities, such as through mind and body. Cognitive enhancement, this can refer to improvements in cognitive functions such as memory, attention, or decision-making, often through the use of drugs or brain training exercises. I'm not sure why it says the use of drugs, but that's okay. Software enhancement, this refers to improvements in software applications such as adding new features or improving existing ones. And then there's business and environmental enhancements, this can refer to improvements in business processes such as increasing efficiency, reducing costs, or improving customer satisfaction. Environmental enhancement can refer to improvements in the national environment, such as reforestation, habitat restoration, or pollution reduction. So the specific elements that are targeted for enhancement can vary depending on context, but the goal is always to make something better or improve its performance. Next is education, and that refers to global education. It refers to an approach to education that aims to develop a sense of global citizenship in students. It seeks to promote understanding, empathy, and respect for people from diverse cultures and backgrounds, and a commitment to address global issues such as poverty, inequality, and climate change. And I have a few examples here. Cultural awareness and appreciation is global education promotes understandings and respect for the diversity of cultures and traditions worldwide. Global issues, it encourages students to become aware of global issues such as poverty, inequality, and environmental degradation, and to develop the skills and knowledge needed to address these challenges. Multilingualism is learning multiple languages is essential to global education, as it enables students to communicate with people from different linguistic and cultural backgrounds. And then interdisciplinary learning is global education, often involves multidisciplinary learning where different subjects are integrated to provide a holistic understanding of global issues. Experiential learning, our students are encouraged to participate in experiential learning opportunities such as study abroad programs, service learning projects, and cultural immersion experiences. Next is critical thinking and problem solving. Global education fosters critical thinking skills, encouraging students to analyze and evaluate information from a range of perspectives and to develop solutions to complex problems. And then lastly, technology and digital literacy. Technology is a crucial component of global education, and it enables students to connect with people and information from around the world. So overall, global education seeks to prepare students to become responsible global citizens, capable of engaging with and contributing to a complex and interconnected world. Defense, global security refers to protecting the world and its inhabitants from various threats and risks, such as terrorism, cyber attacks, nuclear proliferation, pandemic diseases, natural disasters, and other geopolitical conflicts. And to achieve this goal, a robust defense system is required that involves different components of global security. Military defense is a crucial component of global security, and countries worldwide invest heavily in their military capabilities to protect their national interests and sovereignty. A strong military provides a deterrent effective against potential aggressors and helps maintain stability in the international system. A well-equipped military is essential in the face of conventional and unconventional threats such as terrorism, insurgency, and cyber warfare. However, military defense is not only about weapons and firepower. It also involves a comprehensive approach that includes training, intelligence gathering, logistics, and support. And there's also intelligence surveillance that plays a critical role. It helps identify and analyze potential threats and risks, enabling countries to make preemptive measures to prevent them. Surveillance technologies such as satellite drones and cameras are used to monitor and track suspicious activities and provide valuable data for decision-making. Intelligence and surveillance also help in identifying terrorist networks, drug cartels, and other criminal organizations, enabling law enforcement agencies to take action against them. Diplomacy and foreign policy are essential components of global security. Diplomacy involves negotiation, dialogue, and communication between countries to resolve conflict and prevent new ones from emerging. Foreign policy determines how a country interacts with other nations and how it pursues its national interests. A successful foreign policy can help build strong alliances, prevent conflicts, and promote stability and peace. Cybersecurity is a critical component of global security. In today's interconnected world, cyber attacks have become a significant threat to national security. Hackers can cause extensive damage to a country's infrastructure, financial systems, and communication networks. Governments worldwide are investing in cybersecurity measures to protect their critical infrastructure from cyber threats. Cybersecurity involves protecting networks, software, and hardware from attacks, ensuring data privacy, and developing effective countermeasures against cyber attacks. Nuclear deterrence and border security, and with nuclear, it's a crucial component of global security. Nuclear weapons are the most destructive weapons ever created, and their use could lead to catastrophic consequences. However, nuclear weapons have also been instrumental in preventing major conflicts between nuclear armed states. The concept of mutually assured destruction, or MAD, has kept the peace between the US and Russia during the Cold War. Nuclear deterrence involves maintaining a credible nuclear arsenal that can deter potential aggressors from using nuclear weapons. Border security is an essential component of global security. Borders are entry points for people's goods and services, and they need to be protected from threats such as illegal immigration, terrorism, and drug trafficking. Governments invest in border security to ensure that the authorized individuals and goods that enter the country. Border security involves using physical barriers, surveillance technologies, and law enforcement personnel to prevent unauthorized entry. Disaster management. I know this seems like I'm reading, but it's important to understand global security in its context. Disaster management is a critical component of global security. Natural disasters such as earthquakes, hurricanes, and pandemics can cause massive destruction and disrupt the country's social and economic fabrics. Governments invest in disaster management to mitigate the impact of the natural disasters and provide relief and recovery measures for affected populations. Disaster management involves developing emergency response plans, stockpiling essential supplies, and investing in infrastructure that can withstand natural disasters. Humanitarian aid is an essential component of global security. Wars, natural disasters, and pandemics can create humanitarian crises that lead to displacement, hunger, and disease. Humanitarian aid provides vital assistance to those affected by these crises, including food, water, and shelter, and medical care. It is essential. It is an essential component of global security because it helps prevent the spread of disease, reduces the suffering of affected populations, and promotes stability in conflict zones. Governments, non-governmental organizations, and international organizations invest in humanitarian aid to provide relief and support to those in need. So, the defense components of global security are crucial for protecting the world and its inhabitants from various threats and risks. These components include what I just outlined, including military defense, intelligence and surveillance, diplomacy and foreign policy, cybersecurity, nuclear deterrence, border security, disaster management, and humanitarian aid. A robust defense system that incorporates all of these components is essential to maintaining global stability and ensuring the safety and security of all people. Lastly, a seminar that will begin in our series. The SEEDS program, these webinars that we're currently doing today in April and in May will build up to our June seminar. And what they are introductions with, we'll start by introducing these topics with the speakers. And today we have 3 different speakers, and I'll introduce our moderator here in a section. With the seminars that we're currently working on, they will have presentations at the final one. Today is just about discussions on the topics that we've chosen that we believe highlight what the SEEDS program is about and how it should start out. And that's with discussion on the importance of diversity and inclusivity with women in security and the security industry. And so with that, I will turn it over to Ms. Amber Oquindo, our moderator extraordinaire, who will lead us off in this next section.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are in this global audience that we have here today. I want to welcome you all to this panel discussion on women's representation and leadership in international security institutions. So today we're going to be here to address the issues of gender inequality in those security institutions. And despite significant progress that has been done in promoting gender equality in various sectors, women still remain largely underrepresented in international security. So this panel seeks to explore the challenges, opportunities, and strategies for promoting women's representation in leadership. Our panel today, we have Dr. Gurpreet Kaur, who's an expert in gender and human rights and a UN Women UK delegate to the UN Commission on the Status of Women. We also have with us Dr. Megan Mobbs, who's the president of a private operating foundation doing work at the intersection of security and peace building. So during this event, as Todd already explained, we're going to be going over current state of women's representation and leadership, the challenges and barriers that women do face when advancing into leadership positions, the benefits of having them in those positions, and then maybe we might even touch on the role of governments, international organizations, civil society, and the private sector, and their role in advancing gender equality, specifically in international security. So let's begin with our panel discussion. To any of our panel members that we have here today, let's begin with a question with a little bit of history. What changes have you seen in the representation of women in the security sector over the years, and what progress has been made so far?
I'll go ahead and go first then. Good morning, everyone. Amber, thank you so much for hosting today. It's a privilege and an honor to be here. Outside of the fact that I work currently in kind of the intersection of peace building and security, like Amber said, my background is actually military. I'm a graduate of the United States Military Academy at West Point. And so I can speak kind of from that perspective, and then also the perspective kind of across the security institutions, but also to Todd's point earlier, across the humanitarian aid sector as well, which is a critical portion of security. So ever since I graduated 2008, so I would say I am a young, older grad from West Point. And by the time I attended West Point, women were much more common at the academy, but still obviously a much smaller portion than the male population at large. And so even just over the last, 10, 15 years, there's been a substantial increase in women both joining the military academy and being represented in the military. So women are actually the fastest growing portion of the veteran population. So women in general within the military population are expanding rapidly into a variety of different roles. The global war on terror really pushed, I would say, our military to begin to address and look at gender in a very unique way. And obviously, as I'm sure you're all aware, all of the military occupational specialties, jobs, MOSs within the military that were previously closed to women have since been open to women since the global war on terror. So they're now able to serve in combat arms like infantry, armor, special operations, across a whole variety of things in ways that they weren't previously able to. That isn't to say they weren't represented in other types of institutions, whether in the intelligence community or other places, but particularly in the military, there was those restrictions that were in place. There has been growth, and to the point that we're having the conversation today, the reason why women leave the military, one of the number one reasons why is family concerns. So being either dual military or being the sole kind of care provider for the children, and a lack of female mentorship. So that is one of the major reasons why women leave the military and that security apparatus, is because they do not feel like they have other women to talk to help lift them up. And this is true across other security institutions as well. Within the humanitarian aid sector, women are more represented at the kind of field level, but not at the leadership level either. So again, beginning to really consider why those barriers exist. Some of it is also related to mentorship, but also the demands of security jobs and humanitarian aid, being away from families, not being able to have children, or if you have children, not being able to leave them for extended periods of time. All of those are things that have to be considered when we're talking about women across a variety of these institutions. But I'll go ahead and stop there and let our other esteemed panelists address her answer as well.
I'll hop on. Thank you, Megan. I'm a bit hesitant to say that there have been huge strides, where women in security are concerned. Globally, only 10% of the women are actually in the security sector. And from that, if we look at women of color, that is a dismal number. Women of color are not promoted in the security sector at all. And within this, we are talking, we talk about diversity, equality, inclusion? Where are, the LGBTQI folks? No, the women of color, LGBTQI folks? Where are the disabled people in the security sector? Where are the neurodiverse people? And when you have women who are afflicted with one of this, right? They are either disabled women and disabled, women of color and disabled, women of color and neurodiverse, then the number goes even lower. So I think mentorship and sponsorship is important, but to many, these are interchangeable concepts. And I would like to say that it's very, very important that we differentiate between mentorship and sponsorship. Mentorship is when you take someone under your wing and you kind of explore certain pathways and encourage them to actually grow, etc. Sponsorship is actually advocating for the person in leadership positions, even when you're not in the room. And what is missing more than mentorship is sponsorship, because at the upper level, this is simply not happening. And mentorship is all well and good at some point. Oh, okay, let's get women in. How do we chart a career path? But to get from A to B, and in the upper echelons, where we're talking about actually women breaking the glass ceiling, sponsorship has to happen. And the third thing that I actually want to say is, particularly in like with the last few years, this whole DEI concept has really taken off, right? Diversity, equality, inclusion. What does it mean? Does it mean that you add a woman? Oh, we've got 5 male members on the board. Let's add 1 woman. Therefore, we've got female representation on the board. And then things, we're good. You see, we've got women there. Nobody can point the fingers at us. This is what is known as an add and stir approach. An add and stir approach does not look at the structural factors or barriers that are present for women who want to access security sectors. What are the structural factors at hiring processes that are preventing that? The structural factors to even access, say, certain education, or certain opportunities that need you to actually break that barrier and get in there. What are all these structural factors? Nobody is addressing that. It's what I am seeing mostly in my experiences, the add and stir. Hi, this is DEI, let's hold a workshop, let's plug a woman in there, and one of the other things that I actually really want to address, which is a painful point, and I think GCTI is really, really working hard to address that, is not just the DEI or women, in security, or the kind of mentorship and sponsorship, but it's also general, in the sector, in the international policy sector, security sector. There is a very, very hypocritical way, I think, of working, where for any woman who wants to enter the sector, it is almost taken as okay, let's just work voluntarily, let's work, like kind of free, you need to do this, you need to do that. No, women's labor is not being remunerated and it's not being paid, especially in these sectors, right? There's a very, very there's a term which is called as manels. Manels are all male panels that a lot of institutes hold. And in a lot of universities and institutions, what happens is that if they're having, well-renowned male speakers, they will say, oh, okay, we have a pool of funding and we will fork out that funding for you to come and speak at our event, etc. That doesn't happen for women. It's mostly, can you come and speak? Oh, if we are a small organization, let's just do it voluntarily. But it's their time and effort and expertise that you're tapping on as well. And in the larger scheme of things, right, this contributes to the wage gap, even in the security sector, right? Lastly, the last point that I want to touch on is competence. Exactly the issues that Megan mentioned, right? The family, etc. This is all seen as, oh, because women have to do care work, women are mothers, therefore they're just not competent in the security sector where hard, rational decisions need to be made. And we come back to gender norms and stereotypes in this instance. So yeah, that's all from me at the moment.
Thank you so much for your responses. And I would say, it's definitely a very different perspectives that we're coming into here with. When we have, military, especially in the United States, which has really opened up for women. And then, but we still see that we're not seeing that same change, those same steps forward in other sectors and in other areas of the world. And that's why panels like this and discussions like this need to happen, because as we're saying, even regardless across the board at those upper levels, those decisions are not actually being made, and that advocacy is not being done at the level that we see it at the lower levels. And so that's why we need to continue to knock on the door. Hello, we're still here. We're still competent. We're still, intelligent, and we're still doing the work that needs to be done. So given, oh, did you have something to add, Dr. Britton?
Yes, coming from the nuclear background, I agree that, a lot of the women were, you could call, back office. They did all the organizations, they organized all the security clearances. And if it wasn't for them, a lot of the men wouldn't be in a job anyway. But on the other side, last week, I was involved in a major international discussion where the lead speakers were actually women. This was a for nuclear security and proliferation. The lead speakers were all women. One of them was a speaker from an Eastern European country, and two were from the US. One was an ambassador, and the other one was in charge of one of the agencies. So looking at it like that, a lot of the women have reached that level. They are the top of their field. And on the other side, the physical security side, personal security, a lot of, we'll say, high profile female clients do not want male security. They want the female security. So women are moving in. They are taking over some of the security functions that men are doing on a professional side. It is working. Women are moving in because they have to, and they're needed. Yeah, as I say, in the past they were the back office functions, but now they are coming to the fore, and they are at the top of the game. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Britton. Absolutely. And, I'm sure everybody here would agree with that. And we're all certainly, I know here at GCTI, we're certainly an organization that loves to support each other and loves to support each other's successes. And so as we do that, as you say, as women rise to these leadership positions at the top of their fields, how do we help others follow in their footsteps? What opportunities were they provided? What educational opportunities did they take advantage of? And how do we recognize that and expand that to make it more widespread? So excellent point, Dr. Britton. Thank you for bringing that up. So given all of these challenges and roadblocks that women face, I'm curious to know, how did you two decide that you wanted to go into this field? Was it something that the family business, or was it something that was just, nope, that's what I want to do, and you went for it anyways? Megan, would you like to start us off?
I would. And unfortunately, I will tell all of you, I want to apologize. I do have a hard stop here shortly. Speaking of women, peace, and security, I have a bunch of Ukrainian women over here in the United States going to testify before Congress about the roles of women in Ukraine and how we can solidify their roles during this wartime period as they take up more space that were previously blocked to them, but allowed by virtue of the fact that all of the men are fighting. I'm sure you all are aware when the attack, the full-scale invasion happened in February, the first ambassadors to the world were women. Men were not allowed to leave. It was women that were going to capitals all over the world, asking for humanitarian aid, asking for weapons, explaining Russian sanctions. And so those women became the first ambassadors of the conflict in Ukraine. And yesterday on International Women's Day, we had them here again talking about how we can better codify and enable those women to keep those roles once the conflict ceases. And on top of that, there's an all-women delegation from the White Helmets, which is an organization that was founded in Syria that was doing work. And so it's an all-women delegation of Syrian women here meeting with the Ukrainian women. And that is part of the work, which is finding women across space, across time, across continents, across nations, willing to come together and have conversations about how they can lift one another up. To answer your question, Amber, so anyway, that's why I have to leave. I would love to stay here as long as possible. This is an amazing conversation and incredibly important work that all of you are doing here to make sure these conversations are happening, that different perspectives are brought forward, and understanding too exactly what you were saying, the trajectories of different nations are going to be vastly different. And yet having the conversation saying, here's where it worked here. Can we take these lessons learned and import them? Can we find ways to assist our sisters, other women across the world, and elevate their roles as well? But I found my way here because my mother was one of the first women to go to airborne school in our military. And so she was one of those women that was kind of shattering glass ceilings. And so I also went to airborne school because of that. And so I saw what she did, the work that she did to lift women up in the military, going to airborne school. She deployed to Grenada at a time when women weren't doing that. Airborne. So fellow paratrooper. So seeing that was what really just kind of pushed me into this role for me to decide, I want to do this. I want to find other ways that I can lift women up and that I can also chart my own path and stand. I always say I stand on the shoulders of giants, particularly in the military. Women have paved the path before me, so it's easier for me to tread. Doesn't make it, it's always easy, just slightly easier. So it was, to your point, Amber, the family business that got me to where I am now.
Thank you.
Amber, I would like to speak on behalf of the women on ground, as I'm not from the military background, neither from intelligence. In fact, I didn't know what intelligence is until a very long time. I was business background, and I moved to Pakistan running my NGO back in 2008. And when I moved there, I realized the real issues, because you know how protective we are in development countries. We have law, ethics, morals, dignity, whatnot. But as I moved there, I realized that women were totally helpless in some areas, especially the border areas of Afghanistan, the Iran side, the connectivity with the Pakistan. And based on my past life experiences, sexual assault, and so on and so forth, it kind of connected. And at that time, I decided to help women and make sure that they get the help that they get it in the developing countries immediately, just a phone call away whatsoever. So I'm here just to speak about them, basically. And mainly, I noticed that they do not have any self-defense training while being on the ground. So that is the first priority we should focus on. I'm sorry, I'm just going to speak on their behalf as an advocate. Like I said, I'm not connected to many departments, so I don't know what women goes through in the departments. Two is the disaster management area. When we have disasters in Kashmir or Afghanistan or even in Africa, the women are not trained to go through the disaster management. So that is the area we need to focus on. Third, and the most important, is the data management centers, because those ladies are really capable. And if we put them to task, I keep giving Afghanistan example because it is just recent. Some of those ladies, if they're home, they can still be productive and work on the climate change data management systems and so on and so forth. Peace advocacy, similarly, when they become a peace advocates, they're not protected. protected because they don't even know how to protect themselves or their surrounding or their family. So I think the most important is the women policing, community policing also in such areas. For last 4 years, I've been in Africa, and I realized the same situation in the refugee areas, displaced communities. The woman is somehow not trained for any one of that. It's like a shocking news to them when the disaster happens. They just grab their kids and go to the displaced camps. Why can't we prepare the women ahead? Because they can stand by man and they can save lives, and they can set up their community policing in the cases of harassment or child abuse or any of those things. I wasn't prepared when I went through all that, domestic violence, child abuse, whatnot. So you see, this is very important that we train those women on the ground, and that should be our motive. I'm pretty sure you guys are in the Western world now. And you have already achieved a level where the women can get to, like Ellen mentioned, intelligence, the top army, the top nuclear, they're all women. So I think we have done our job up there pretty much. We need to focus on the women on the ground. And that is my advocacy piece on their behalf. They're really suffering. You guys don't have a clue. They're going into drugs, whatnot. So this is why I'm here. If you need my assistant, like I said, I created a Global Peace Center. My mission has been Global Peace and Prosperity since 2014. And I've been working on it diligently, and Army and intelligence, of course, always work with us. I was selected as a diplomat, peace and humanitarian diplomat. So I work with the government when I see the issue of the women. Like just 2 weeks ago, the Afghanistan government contacted me. They wanted help. So you see why they're coming to me. They could have gone to so many other governments, but they feel comfortable working with the women who can guide them and their women. So these are the areas that we really need to put our pinpointers basically to help them, uplift them, and create a community like a Global Peace Center. This is something I designed where they can get life-saving skills, self-defense training, community policing for women. We can even have NATO stability policing trained them, in some of those areas. And we know that we will be facing a lot of challenges, counterterrorism, all of these things are happening back and forth, and it's going to go more and more. But we need to come up with a solution to protect women and children. Women first, of course, then they can protect their children. So this is my advocacy, and that's why I'm here for. Sorry.
Thank you. Ms. Gurpreet, would you like to share what inspired you to join the security sector?
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of a lot of things. I can't pinpoint to like one exacting moment and say that, that was my aha moment. I've worked in gender all my life. That was part of the, thing that got me going into a lot of things. But like I said, for me, I think when I look at the fields, like we are talking about, women in like, the nuclear industry, etc., that's happening in certain sectors, but it's definitely, I don't see it happening across the board. So I've never seen it happen in the UN when a delegation is dispatched to talk to the Taliban in Afghanistan about women's issues. The entire delegation is of men. When we have, delegations dispatched to a lot of the, other areas at that level, the representation of women is so dismal. And this is what is getting me, in that, yes, we have to advocate. And the statistics actually, the numbers show, I think it was Antonio Guterres who actually said a few days ago in the lead up to, International Women's Day, that at the rate that we are going to even achieve any sort of gender parity in terms of pay, in terms of wage, in terms of representation, etc., it's 300 years. Like, really, so if we are talking at the level that, so many strides have been made, why 300 years then? Why not, in the next year or the next 2 years, and like I said, globally, the number of women in the security sector is only 10%. Globally, we are not talking US, we are not talking global South, the entire world, 10% only, So I think there are a lot of issues, particularly with not just things like, sponsorship, mentorship, but like I said, the stereotypes play into this. What women are seen as competent for plays into this. And there's also a general narrative, right? It's very politicized. When it suits certain sectors, oh, women are helpless, we must go in and save women, and that narrative really riles me up. It's like a victim. Women are victims all the time. To get them to actually, be at the table, they have to be participants. And that is lacking. That is so lacking. Participants from the local sectors, from the ground, etc., exactly as Rubina had said, they have to come up and it cannot be a way of, coming in and saying, oh, we're here to save you. We're here to build capacity. Countries have capacity. Women have their own capacity building, etc., in their own contextualized areas that they are. They just need some sort of just a little push along to actually get there. So I think it's particularly in these areas, there's a lot of growing to do. But what I will say is that the fact that we are holding discussions like this, panels like this, I think that is a very, very promising first sign that we are, there's a lot of awareness being raised and there is advocacy being done. But how much of that advocacy is actually going to result in action? 300 years is a really, really long time, and it's not even in my lifetime. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think you really hit the nail on the head there, that this is a first step. There have been many first steps before us, and we continue to take first steps moving forward. So I think that's absolutely right. And then to echo what, Megan said, how do we take something that's been proven to work in one area, and how can we implement that somewhere else to make it, accepted, or to make it available and make it work? Because what works one place is not going to work somewhere else, and that just takes a group of dedicated individuals such as the people here today to say, okay, well, let's get our hands dirty and figure it out. How are we gonna make those strides? Whether they be big or small, they are strides nonetheless. So we're moving in the right direction. So thank you very much for that. Okay, well, we are almost at the hour, so I'm going to go ahead and just say thank you to everyone for participating in our discussion today. Thank you for your contributions. And I just want to express my sincere gratitude for your attendance to our event on women's representation and leadership in the international security institutions. It's been a pleasure to be a part of this engaging conversation. And thank you to our panelists. And I will pass it off back to you, Todd. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amber. And I want to thank Megan Mobbs for her participation today. And Dr. Cower, thank you. Dr. Cower started out with, thanking us for putting these panels together. And when we practice diversity, what's the saying, Dr. Cower? We don't just invite you to the dance, we actually asked you to dance. So there's a difference between being invited to the table, as you say, and actually doing something. And we try to practice that in all our endeavors. The SEEDS program, as I stated, this is the panel 1 of 3. The next panel coming up, I believe, is April 13th. And with that, there's another important topic that'll segue into our June LA Live conference that we're just now getting underway with the planning and coordination. We've got speakers lined up, and like I believe it was Miss Ali, we do and we are offering there'll be a block of instruction. And this Women in Security is focusing on not just the practical talking points and presentations. There will be live Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructors there. They will be teaching self-defense classes as well, with some not just physical hands-on, but some mental hands-on about how not to get yourself in situations like that, so that there are things and with practical application. with that, and also most of the presentations are being developed now. Amber and I are working on different speakers. We're outlining different key players coming in the LA area with government and local resources. And if there's any other questions anyone has, we can open it up for a few minutes if anybody has anything to add before we go. And if not, I want to thank
I will
everybody.
say, sorry, Todd, I will say just a quick follow-up to everybody that is here. I will be sending out some additional information as well as full bios on all of our panelists today, so that you can be more familiar with their ongoing work outside of GCTI, as well as some dates to look out for our upcoming webinars. So you will be hearing from me.
Thank you, Amber. And if there's no other questions, if you'd like to find out more about us, you can always go to our website, globalctinstitute.org. We do have our own community that we have about, I would say, 1,400 members now. Many of them are students in our master's program, and we are expanding into other areas in Indonesia and in the UK. We have our folks there now. So I want to thank everybody for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.